In business today, three things to know. First, President Obama vows to take relations with China to a new level at the APEC Summit. Despite some diplomatic faux pas by the Americans, the Russians, and the Chinese, there does appear to be a lot of talking going on. Then, speaking of the Chinese, $9 billion in one day and counting. Alibaba runs the tables and may be an indicator of how the holiday retail season could shake out. And Tesla? Some are calling for Apple to buy the electric car maker. Wishful thinking or a brilliant play among two of the world's top marketers? Arise Exchange starts now. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Schmertz. Wall Street began the day with military veterans ringing in the opening bell. On this Veterans Day, it was then off to another record, a sixth straight day of gains for the Dow and a record for the S&P 500. Let's take a look at the final numbers. The Dow up just $1.16. That's a record to 17,614.90. The S&P 500 up $1.42 to 2039. And the NASDAQ up nearly 9 points to 46.60. Some of the top stocks we're watching today. Microsoft rolling out its first Lumina smartphone without the Nokia brand name. The new smartphone is the first launched by Microsoft since purchasing Nokia in April. Microsoft closing down a couple of pennies. Radio Shack is joining the trend of opening early on Thanksgiving Day. In case anyone might notice, it will open stores at 8 a.m. on Thanksgiving. We should note that barely anyone is going into Radio Shack stores during the rest of the week anyway. Radio Shack closing down a penny to 92 cents. And Google has signed a 60-year lease for an old Navy hangar in Silicon Valley, according to NASA. Google will pay $1.16 billion to lease Hangar 1, where it plans to develop new space and aviation technologies. Google up $280 to $550.29. And taking a look at commodities, gold up $5.20 and oil up 12 cents to $77.52 a barrel. It is day two of the Asia-Pacific Economic Summit, where Asian leaders announced that they are backing a free new trade pact with China. President Obama, meantime, is in China, where he says he wants to take U.S.-Chinese relations, quote, to the next level. We turn now to James Blue, our Washington, D.C. bureau chief, who joins us with the latest. James, tell us a little bit about this new pact that they're talking about. China has been really taking a sort of in-your-face attitude at this summit, as if to say China is now in charge.
Well, you know, the President of the United States met with the leaders of the TPP. This is a Trans-Pacific partnership that would be a trade bloc, including about 40% of the world's population. And it is an Asian trade bloc, but it excludes China. And so today, China announced that it too wants to create an Asian trade bloc that actually excludes the United States. So it's really a tit for tat. You want a trade pact with your countries. We want a trade pact with our countries. Let's duke it out. The reality is the TPP is much further along than anything that China has proposed, and it looks like there will be some resolution of the TPP, if not at the end of this year, certainly within the first quarter of next year. So the U.S. is going to get a trade deal with many of these same countries that excludes China, and they're going to get there first.
And there has been a lot of talking going on, as we said at the top of the show. The president did speak briefly with Vladimir Putin from Russia. Did they talk at all about talks regarding Ukraine?
Yeah, they talked about Ukraine, Syria, and Iran. Today, Russia announced that they are going to build additional nuclear reactor plants in Iran. And this, of course, Iran says is for peaceful use and for energy means. But it is a provocation, and it is another sort of stick in the eye from Russia to the United States. They spoke about Syria and how to resolve the crisis there, and they spoke about Ukraine. These were about 3 or 4 meetings at the sidelines of the summit. They will speak again when they move on at the weekend to the G20 conference in Brisbane, Australia.
And of course, at these summits these days with cameras everywhere, everyone looks at everything that's going on. President Obama hit yesterday because he was caught chewing gum. Vladimir Putin hit yesterday because he hugged a Chinese woman, and that is considered inappropriate. Talk about some of these sort of side issues that are going on here.
Well, what these summits are all about is sort of putting everyone on the same stage together and sort of showing that they're presidential and that they're on equal terms. As a result, every move you make is criticized and scrutinized. And the shawl incident, putting the shawl on the Chinese, the wife of the Chinese leader, and then having her take it off immediately was a real slap in the face of President Vladimir Putin. President Obama came into the meeting chewing gum. He's actually chewing the Nicorette because he doesn't want to smoke. Mm-hmm. It's Nicorette. And so I guess he could say it's medicinal. But the Chinese, I don't know if you've been there, they do take respect in a very big and important way. And they just think that was not right for anyone, especially the U.S. president.
And everyone smokes in China, so he could probably have gotten away with a cigarette. James.
But his wife wouldn't let him do that.
There you go. Michelle's on his case. James Blue, thank you so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
It is called Singles Day, a sort of anti-Valentine's Day, and it's said to have brought in $9 billion in sales for one website alone, Alibaba. Is the success of Singles Day a good omen, however, for U.S. holiday sales here this year? Let's bring in Liz Dunn, a retail expert and CEO of Talmage Advisors. Liz, welcome to Arise Exchange. It's an honor to have you on the program here.
Thanks for having me.
So talk about how Alibaba was able to generate $9 billion in one day. They do not do any business here in the U.S., as I understand it.
Very little business here in the U.S. They do business with some U.S. brands, and they were trying to bring a lot of U.S. brands into the Singles Day event. But no, this is pretty much a China event. They've really thrown a lot of marketing dollars behind it and really gotten a lot of excitement about this holiday, which has been growing significantly over the last several years. It dwarfs, our Black Friday and Cyber Monday put together. It's really a huge event.
And Alibaba is really known as a marketing powerhouse, and that's connected to this a little bit.
Right. They've got so many different brands that they're selling. They've really got a tremendous amount of market share with the Chinese consumer, over 80% in the e-commerce sphere. So really just a tremendous job marketing this event. And, who doesn't want to buy gifts for singles?
Again, U.S. businesses, which is becoming a growing part of the population, and recognizing them certainly was a good idea. Can U.S. businesses participate in Singles Day in China?
Well, Alibaba and Jack Ma are trying to make this a global event, and so they really are trying to grow this event over the next couple of years to be a global event. Right now, it's not, but U.S. companies are looking to Alibaba as a way into China. It's sort of a known place with a lot of traffic and a lot of eyeballs, and so U.S. companies are smart to try to partner with them to distribute their goods there.
Everyone is kind of trying to see if there's any sort of early indicators of how we're going to do this holiday season. Does this tell us anything?
Well, it does and it doesn't. The U.S. consumer has been a little sluggish of late. October seemed to weaken from, the couple of months prior. And I think what happens with the U.S. consumer is they're sort of appointment driven. And so they like to show up if there's an event or an appointment. That's kind of the psychology that you're seeing with this Singles Day, right?
And what about then the idea of opening up early on Thanksgiving that we're talking about? Is that sort of the psychology, sort of an appointment by being open on Thanksgiving, which is somewhat controversial?
I think it's a power play by some of the big guys. And so, Macy's is been very bold in saying that they think they can capture a significant amount of the millennial shopper, that younger shopper who, okay, Mom, Dad, I'm done with dinner, going shopping now instead of going to the movies,
and by the way, for all the people who blame the retailers for doing this, it's the consumers ultimately who are either to blame for making it a success or failure, right? Because we got to go shopping.
And then I think other retailers are just following suit. They're saying, well, if Macy's is going to do it, I guess I've got to do it too. So it's a little bit unfortunate because it cuts into Thanksgiving, but it's been a win certainly for Macy's.
What do you think are going to drive either a successful retail season or a poor retail season? We're seeing gas prices lower, so that's a little bit of a tax rebate for consumers, but there's still concern about jobs.
Yeah, but we have made progress on the jobs front.
Certainly.
So I think, the overall delta is what's important. Also, consumer confidence about the economy, about the state of, global affairs. Obviously, there are lots of worries about, geopolitical unrest, but kind of easing fears about maybe some health concerns regarding Ebola. So there are a lot of factors that play into it. But last year we had some big storms in December that sidelined consumers. So hopefully we won't have that this this year. Last year we had a
We
short.
blamed the weather certainly last year for
Yeah.
a very, very long time.
Last year we walked into the season with high inventories. It seems like inventories are a little bit in better shape. The holiday season isn't quite as short, and we are making some slow progress on the economy. So I think there will be pockets of strength. It's not going to be, boom time for everyone, but I do think that overall it's going to be a decent holiday season.
We hope you come back and analyze it as we go forward.
Thanks for having me.
Liz Dunn from Talmadge Advisors, appreciate it. Coming up, could your next iPhone come with a Tesla? And later, how one airline turned customer dissatisfaction into a brilliant marketing ploy. You're watching Arise Exchange.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Unrest continues in Ferguson, Missouri. Exactly what happened to Michael Brown Jr.'s memorial. The NFL fallout continues. Why does this video change the game? President Barack Obama met with congressional leaders today.
He does not need congressional approval to carry out the strikes.
The only language understood by killers like this is the language of force.
Do I want to have a draft? No, because I don't want to have war.
Hello and welcome to Arise America. I'm Debbie Turner-Bell.
Welcome back to Arise Exchange. It's a rumor that won't go away, and we'd like to talk about it. Apple buying Tesla. And Apple can do it, by the way, for pocket change. Tesla currently has a market cap of about $31 billion, and Apple has more than $150 billion in the bank. For nearly a year now, various analysts have been discussing the possibility that Apple would take the advice of several powerful investors and purchase Elon Musk's electric car company. But would a move like this make sense for either, and could it actually ever happen? The car coach, Lauren Fix, joins us now on the phone with more. Good afternoon, Lauren. Any possibility that we could actually see something like this happen?
Well, I mean, there's lots of speculation out there, and for Elon Musk, there's a lot of benefits. He walks away being the leader again, making money, selling off his company, and leaving the problem of a dealer network on another company and let them have to deal with that hassle. So it is a possibility, and Apple can buy it for pocket change. It's nothing for them to make a purchase like Tesla.
But how does it fit into the Apple's portfolio other than being sort of a cool, hot item? Apple's products are expensive, but they're still generally below $3,000. Tesla's start at over $50,000.
Right, but you got to look at their market base. Their target market are customers that like cutting-edge technology. They want something that's unique and specific, and so far Tesla defines that. So there really is a great segment for them. And if you're saying, well, they buy these in malls, right now you're buying Teslas in malls, it would make very much sense to transfer this over because they're already doing Apple CarPlay, which you're seeing in high-end vehicles like Ferraris.
I'm wondering if there's the speculation of Apple maybe being interested in buying Tesla could be generated by those who would like Tesla to be sold to one of the big U.S. automakers.
I'm sure one of the automakers would like to have it, but they have their own technology. Ford has been developing hybrid cars for a long time. Mercedes, Audi, every single manufacturer. Kia just came out with the Soul EV. And I've driven all these cars, and they're equally as intelligently designed. But one thing you gain is a dealer network, and that's one thing Tesla doesn't have. And not being able to sell cars in certain states, such as Michigan, really can put a hurt on the overall brand. And he's doing his accounting not on generally accepted accounting principles, which is GAAP. And when you look at his numbers, he's not making money.
Well, also, Elon is known for building companies and then selling them, right? Not for managing them long term. PayPal, for example.
Right.
So it does fit his business model to liquidate the company and have an exit strategy. Do you believe that there's been talks between, let's say, Elon Musk and Tim Cook? Has it gone to that level at all?
I'm sure there's been some form of communication, especially if there's rumor out there. Rumor doesn't happen just because you and I decide, let's spread a rumor. It's most likely there has been some communication.
And so where do you think this ends up over the next, few months to the next year or so? You think that a deal like this could possibly get done?
It's possible. I think that gigafactory has to be built first because battery technology is very critical. And once we get over that hurdle and the factory is up and running, that's a prime time to sell Tesla and a prime time for Apple to purchase them.
And we should note, though, that Apple does not make large purchases, and this would be one.
This would be a very large purchase because I'm sure he's not going to give it away at a discount.
Okay. Lauren Fix, thank you so much. It's a fascinating topic, and we are no doubt going to keep talking about these rumors. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Time now for our business ticker stories making headlines across the nation and the world. The first aluminum-bodied Ford F-150 trucks rolled off the assembly line today. They go on sale in December in the U.S. and will be sold in 90 markets next year. Ford has invested heavily in the redesign and considers the F-150 key to the company's success. On this Veterans Day, European banks get sued by American servicemen. A class action lawsuit accuses HSBC, Barclays, Standard Chartered, and 2 other banks of aiding terrorists by allowing wire transfers in Iran to Hezbollah, which attacked U.S. servicemen in Iraq. These banks have already paid millions in government fines. The former Prime Minister of Australia is joining J.P. Morgan. John Howard will serve on the J.P. Morgan International Council, which advises the bank on global trends. He joins an elite group, which includes Tony Blair, Condoleezza Rice, and Henry Kissinger. Hold the Mayo? Hellmann's, a division of Unilever, sues vegan mayonnaise maker Hampton Creek. Hellmann's says that the startup's Just Mayo products misleads consumers by calling its product mayonnaise when it in fact does not contain any eggs, a key ingredient, Hellmann's says. And today is Veterans Day, and as you know, we salute those who have served past and present. And while we're highlighting America's oldest veteran, Richard Overton, he's 108 years old and served in the Army during World War II. He still drives, smokes cigars, and adds whiskey to his morning coffee. President Obama honored him last year at the White House. Ahead, the violinist who scammed her way to the Olympics is our favorite person of the day. You're watching Rise Exchange.
If I was building my own network, it would be for the people, by the people. It would be very diverse. It would be with every culture you can think of.
If I was to start my own news network, it would reflect positive and negative within the continents and the countries around the world.
I think that I would be more looking towards young people.
If I were to build my own news network, it would look like New York City. Old, young, fresh, hip, classic.
If I was to build my own news network, I would just have people from all over who are very connected and diverse.
If I was to build my own news network, my own world network, I would love a correspondent in every country, every location, every city. I mean, it's kind of unrealistic, but how cool would it be to get local stories from the impoverished country, the impoverished city that we don't know about?
Arise News, every culture, every angle.
Apple unveiled new products today. Did it meet expectations?
Apple stock is up 20%.
The White House says it has proper measures to contain the spread of Ebola.
This seems to be, in some ways, exploding. What are officials saying?
We remain focused on working with our partners on the ground to stop the epidemic.
Enhanced measures have been put in place in Africa and the United States.
This is hitting home in a very real way, and I think, we need to be concerned.
Hello and welcome to Arise America. I'm Debbie Turner-Bell.
Pull up to the bar. We have a real liquid lunch for you today. Many of us are used to getting rejection letters when we apply for jobs. I have a few of them. One Irish woman received this rejection email, however, when she applied for a teaching job in South Korea. The man wrote, quote, "Hi, Katie. I am sorry to inform you that my client does not hire Irish people due to the alcoholism nature of your kind." For the record, by the way, according to a report on UPI, the World Health Organization says that South Koreans actually drink more than the Irish. And we have a follow-up to a recent Our Favorite Person of the Day, Sage and Christina Kelly. Remember them? Well, they have settled their ugly divorce and custody battle for their kids. Sage is the head of healthcare investment banking at the firm Jefferies, and the two had accused each other of rampant drug use, and Christina accused Sage of orchestrating wife-swapping orgies. That made both of them our favorite people of the day last week. Well, now the two have put all of those drugs and orgy accusations aside and have settled. That means they both get joint custody of their kids. Good for their kids. And that takes us to today's favorite person of the day, when we choose one person who grabbed our attention and not for the right reasons. Today, it is a world-renowned violinist who is accused of scamming her way into the Olympics as an athlete and a world-class skier. The International Ski Federation claims that Vanessa May invented races and race times in order to qualify for the Sochi Olympic Games last winter. May, who's an award-winning British Thai violinist who has sold millions of albums, raced in a giant slalom at the Olympic Games and finished dead last. Now it turns out there's a reason she finished last. She qualified for the Olympics by creating 4 sham races. According to the governing body of skiing, May invented 4 races in Slovenia just days before the Olympic Games. The Ski Federation says all the times of the races were fixed, that skiers who were not even at the event were listed as participants, and that the weather was so bad it's unlikely some of the races even took place. May, who is 36-year-old, has been banned from ski competitions for 4 years, and she is our favorite person of the day. Next, you can't beat them, join them. Why the most hated U.S. airline is making fun of itself and making it work. You're watching Rise Exchange.
The search continues for the more than 200 abducted schoolgirls.
Unquestionably, this is a Nigerian problem.
President Barack Obama stopped short of visiting the border. Why can't Washington get anything done when it comes to immigration reform?
But you got to come up with a solution to it, and no one has a real solution.
Does this further terrorize people, make them more afraid, or is this making people angry? Hello and welcome to Arise America. I'm Debbie Turner-Bell.
I think that people in America do care about what happens throughout the world.
Global warming is probably something that has to be addressed sooner rather than later.
From Somalia and the genocide there, and that's something people don't know about. They have no idea the brevity of that situation.
First thing I think about when I think of Africa is like war and famine and disease.
And right now with the tsunami that happened or the earthquakes in, Japan, we always look out for other people.
Arise News, every culture, every angle.
Last week on Arise Exchange, a victory lap for Republicans while Democrats lick their wounds.
The Democrats are saying they just didn't have a ground game.
Gold prices fell sharply today as the dollar soared in the wake of the U.S. elections. Zachary Torrance says he tried the Subway diet, and when it failed, he decided that he would rob 4 Subway sandwich shops in 4 days as revenge for his inability to lose weight. Now he will be on a prison diet. Watch this week for more Arise Exchange. It's a new marketing approach from what some say is the most hated airline in the industry, and that might be coming from the airline itself. The low-cost carrier Spirit is poking fun at its less-than-stellar reputation with a hilarious new campaign called the State of the Hate Report. The airline asked its customers to share what they hate most about flying in return for 8,000 frequent flyer miles. And the airline got 30,000 responses and compiled their findings in this parody puppet newscast.
Allegiant passengers led the way in Delta got the most crap. Frontier ranked highest in dams, while American got a lot of and JetBlue, a lot of people said suck. Back to you, Carl. Interesting, Ray. So what are these airlines doing about it? Two things, Jack and squat.
And that's from the airline itself. Although Spirit Airlines did conduct the survey, 60% of the people went on to unleash complaints about other airlines too. So how smart was it for Spirit to mock its own shortcomings? With more on this is Phil Derner. He is president and founder of NYC Aviation, a global aviation consulting firm. Welcome to the program. It's an honor to have you on. Spirit certainly wears its complaints on its sleeve, doesn't it?
They do. They have a long history of pulling marketing stunts like this, and everyone complains about Spirit. They're the ultra low cost, no frills carrier. They're at the bottom of the barrel. And this is a really smart move on them to kind of associate themselves with other airlines to say, hey, we're not the only airline that gets complaints. A lot of us are receiving the same type of responses. And it's pretty smart how they're also out there pushing their ultra low fares, and that's what's going to stick in people's minds.
And the fact is, people actually talk with their money, not by making comments. And Spirit continues to fill the airplanes with this business model.
It's true, and at the end of the day, there are just enough people in the flying public that they just want to see the low fares. They want to get from A to B. And that's a segment in the flying public that wants to be out there.
How do you think this campaign came to fruition? Because somebody had to convince Spirit, and Spirit's CEO is a marketer himself and is pretty aggressive out there. Does this come from Spirit itself, or does an ad agency go to Spirit and say, we have this crazy idea?
Spirit, they're going to take ideas from wherever they can. They have a long history of doing a lot of risque campaigns. If they find something good, they're going to go for it. And this was even more tame than usual, but it's doing the trick. We're on TV talking about it right now.
We're on TV talking about it. Okay, so now they also are smart to point out, and I think this was sort of where they were going with this, is if you're going to complain about us, you're really complaining about everybody. We're at least not charging you more.
That's true. When you fly on Spirit, you need to know what you're paying for. They throw percentages out, 40% of what all the other airlines are charging you. Yes, but you're really getting what you're paying for. A lot of people think that passengers that fly Spirit really lose their right to complain, and they shouldn't be surprised when they run into certain challenges, which I kind of agree with.
Well, I like to say that if you want a better airline, pay for a better airline, right? And there are alternative products out there. But Spirit and the other ultra-low-cost carriers can take you to visit grandma for people who might not normally be able to do so in Florida a couple more times a year.
That's exactly the market that they're trying to serve. Air travel is something that's accessible to everyone these days, no matter how fancy you want to fly. And Spirit offers low fares. I mean, a lot of people, it's easier for them. A lot of people don't need the frills and don't need to pay for pretzels and a soda or whatever it is.
So the question, though, for Spirit and for those running the airline is, as the economy improves and as people have more money, does Spirit need to change its business model? Because will people go for higher products?
Not at all. There's always going to be people. As the lower classes, they're always going to want to fly. Everyone needs to fly. And even the middle class, everyone wants to be frugal. Everyone wants to save money. That's how you make money, by saving it. And people are going to save money by flying on these low-cost carriers. And they're going to exist. Spirit is not going to change a thing. What they're doing with this stunt enforces that, and they're going to do this for the long haul.
They're going to stick it to you. What are you hearing about what other airlines are saying, if anything, about this campaign from Spirit? Because they're right up there trashing the other airlines.
Well, the airline industry is very difficult to make money in. It's the most complex industry that's out there. Airlines deal with all different kinds of things, and including complaints. Air travel is stressful. It's expected. Humans have been around for 2 million years, and we've only been flying commercially for about 100 of them. It's a stressful thing for our whole species. So that it's understandable to see the challenges that all these airlines face, but airlines look at Spirit and they kind of roll their eyes and groan. That's what I kind of did. I saw this, I chuckled, okay, what are they up to now?
This one's gaining traction. We have less than a minute left. The question is, how many other airlines are going to follow the Spirit, or for European model, Ryanair model, which is to take what was the low-cost carrier, the LCC, and the ULCC, which is the ultra-low-cost carrier. Can we go to the even more ultra-low-cost carrier?
I think if you go any lower, it may start to be unsafe. There's been a lot of different ideas out there, stand-up, leaning seats just to squeeze more people in. A lot of ideas. You really can't get much lower, but people get what they pay for, and a lot of people are willing to do that. So, hey, hats off to them. Good luck.
Will Spirit face competition from the other airlines? No. They have this market to themselves.
They're going to hold this down pretty well for the most part. A few airlines come close. Allegiant is a little lower, but Spirit holds the top of the bottom, if you will. So.
Okay. Phil Derner, the president and founder of NYC Aviation. Thank you so much. This has been fun.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Tomorrow on Arise Exchange, business accounts frozen by the IRS without committing a crime. This is the second time that we'll be doing this story. A new case on Long Island. Let's take a look at the markets again. It wasn't by much, but the Dow did finish the day in record territory again. The S&P 500 up nearly $1.50 as well. That's a record to 2039.68. And the NASDAQ also finishing in the green. I'm Andrew Schmertz. Thanks for watching Arise Exchange. We will see you tomorrow.